this even possible whenever you are perceiving something that will give you pleasure, that you have no idea that at the very same time you're bringing pain upon yourself? How is this possible that whenever you crave for the whole jar of Nutella over and over and over again, you are suffering at the very same time, not at the very same time, you're suffering later, from obesity, diabetes, or whatever might happen to you, because everybody's different, to be honest. So, here's something that I was puzzled about, and I think I kind of glimpsed it a little bit, what this whole thing might be about. Why we human beings have to understand one of the Buddhist virtues, law of cause and effect. Brad Warner wrote a lot about it, and I really, really enjoyed his books. Law of cause and effect. Everything has its own cause, and everything is producing a certain effect. And that's it. But here's the thing, we don't really act as we understand it, despite the fact that we definitely do have enough intelligence, all of us, not only the educated ones or the smart ones. Even I get it. If I get it, you get it too. Come on, that's easy. Right? But we don't act like it, because whenever cravings comes in, you go for it, right? You come on, we live in the era of divorces. Everybody's getting divorced. So they get married for life and then they get divorced. Right? They choose one sexual partner and then they cheat on him, her, them, whatever. How is this even possible? Why do you ever make a vow for anything if you are going to act in the other way? You know what I mean? And how the fuck are you sad? How the hell are you suffering from health problems whenever you live unhealthy? How the hell are you enjoying your time with the person you love so much, knowing that the person will pass? I kind of struggle to understand why we have such a problem with applying the law of cause and effect, and I think I kind of glimpsed why. In order to understand the law of cause and effect, you got to understand the importance of perspective. That's a very important thing. Whenever you crave the jar of Nutella, right? Whenever you crave the jar of Nutella, it does not mean your body craves for it. It does not mean that your immune system craves for it. I can't see shit. Oh, there you go. I'm sorry. I'm driving. Because, well, basically, in case someone will be wondering, I am doing this podcast while driving. That's a pretty shameful confession, because I like to talk to myself as I'm driving. I am having a rear view mirror pointing at me, and I can't see behind because the vehicle is too fucking big. So I just keep talking. I just keep talking. The only reason this podcast exists is because I would be saying what I'm saying right now nonetheless. Genuinely, so I just choose to record it and put it on YouTube or Spotify, whatever. Honestly. Anyway, coming back to the subject. If you want to understand the law of cause and effect, you gotta understand that your perspective is not the only perspective. And that's the crucial point. Because whenever you crave the jar of Nutella, you do not know that there is a different perspective of your organs that can't produce thoughts on themselves, they don't have eyes, don't have the will to decide, but they will be damaged. Okay? Whenever you crave sex with a stranger while you're married, you do not think about a perspective of your wife, husband, or whatever you call your partner you're with when you're married. So that's the whole thing. When people are completely broken when someone passed away, whenever they enjoy time with them, they didn't know that he will pass, but she, them will pass away. And then the person dies, and it's like, shock. No way! I thought they will live forever. So you don't understand the law of cause and effect, because you don't understand that your perspective is not the only perspective there is. You are not seeing everything. You are not seeing everything at all. As Marcus Aurelius very brilliantly put in, don't be afraid of change, because change is everywhere. The very thing that you're eating, whatever you're having on your plate, was the result of change. And something had to die for you to eat it. So how the hell do you know that the changes that are happening in your life, that are causing you pain, that something that you don't want is happening, isn't actually for the good of the universe, for the good of all? That's the whole thing. And the funny part, you wanting something, what does that even mean? You should not want anything at all, because you don't know what's the best for all of us. Because you are not not thinking we, you're thinking me, and that's the invalid part. So the tricky thing is that you can't really think we, because the only perspective that is given to you is your perspective. But because you behave as if your perspective is the only one, you act as if the law of cause and effect is invalid or doesn't exist. You pursue personal goals, you pursue personal pleasures, without taking into consideration the good of all. And what is the good of all? Since we might actually start a discussion about a subjective nature of good and evil, the good of all, as I see it from my very limited perspective, is what is happening. So there's nothing you can do about it. Good of all is what is happening. Honestly, I don't believe that the universe needs human race to ascend into the angels. I do not believe that planet Earth needs to be saved. I do not believe that the humankind needs to survive. And I don't believe that the humankind needs to die as well. I do not believe that we are doomed for death and hell and fire and chaos at all. But I believe that if it would disappear, something else would come up. Or maybe it wouldn't. Doesn't really matter. On a cosmic scale, we are on a floating rock, surfing through nothingness that expands. And the floating rock and everything on it, including us, we are made out of other smaller floating rocks in the nothingness. Because every matter is at least 99% of the nothing. Because at the scale, this is how big distances are between atoms and electrons. If you are able to see a bigger perspective, if you are able to zoom out a little, your whole perspective changes. About things you're doing, about things you want to do, things you're pursuing, things you're avoiding, duties you have to attend to but you don't, duties that you're attending to, everything. And I believe that this is the fundamental understanding needed for understanding and applying the law of cause and effect. Because the only thing for you to understand is that you are not the only creature around understanding and seeing and making decisions, wanting and avoiding, living and dying. And for you to do this understanding is to simply accept, which is hardly doing, is it? Simply accept that this is what things are. So take some time to zoom out a little. Look at our tiny rock floating in space. And think about your electric bills. Think about your diet and your fitness journey. Think about the games you're playing and the job you're having. Think about it all. And this Cosmail. And you know what I'm finding? That's actually funny. That's really funny. But I see certain sense in it. Whenever I look at my life from this perspective, my life quite obviously appears quite small and insignificant. But this prompts me to make better decisions. Really, better decisions for my life, for my health. And that's somehow counterintuitive, right? Because most of the people will be like, hey, we are just going to party and drink and eat, and we are going to have fun because, we are so insignificant. But that's the whole fucking point. If you're really able to zoom out and take a look at life of your own and life of the others as the life of the universe, and you would cease to see yourself as individual in it, you will no longer see personal pleasures. First things first, you will see that the other side of the pleasure is pain. So you will know that whenever you pursue pleasure, you are buying two of them, and there's no way for you to pick only one. And secondly, you know that not only your pleasure is involved, not even mentioning that pleasure is a very tiny aspect of our lives in the first place, since there's far more to it. Far more to it. So don't be afraid to zoom out. In a way, you might lose yourself, but who cares if you gain the world as a consequence of that?